West Dallas, Waskwaki School Board to order. Mr. Keller, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Suzette, can you please call the roll?
Yes, I will. Mrs. Carr.
Here.
Ms. Steele.
Here.
Mrs. Kaiser.
Here.
Mr. Burns is excused. Mr. Ustruck is excused. Mrs. Jestem.
Here.
Mr. Sikich is excused. Mr. Keller.
Here.
And President Lee.
Notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Dr. Lexman, are there any modifications to the agenda this evening?
We have no changes this evening.
All right, thank you very much. With that, I would like to open it up to public comments. As a reminder, everyone who is participating in public comments has 3 minutes. We will not have any sort of discussion or back and forth discourse during this time. You must state your name and your address before beginning your comments. And Mr. Keller is going to assist with those public comments we have in person. Mr. Keller, do we have someone signed up?
Yep. We will start with John Malling.
My name is John Malling. I live at 3850 South Pole Drive in New Berlin. I do have a question, though. On the minutes from the last meeting, it says here I requested this about the central office administrators. I would like to have their job descriptions, and I have not received any information about job descriptions for the 7 central office administrators. Can I expect them?
We don't engage at this time, so if you
Well,
ask for it, you will get
there's
it.
a law out in the state of Wisconsin that a question has to be answered within 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks noted on your notes here, and I haven't heard a thing back. I'll start my talk. I received from Deidre that there were 80 books ordered by Ibram Kendi, quote, "How to be an Anti-Racist." Andrea Watkins sent me that information, or I got that information that she ordered those books. I have a big question. If no one in this district is planning on discussing critical race theory or teaching it, why did you order 80 books? Why would you order 80 books if you weren't going to teach it? I think I know why. I want to remind everybody at home, wherever the camera is, you need to talk about critical race theory. Critical race theory, quote, believes in systemic racism, which is baloney. Critical race theory says, quote, all white people are oppressors and the other races are oppressed. Critical race theory is 180 degrees opposite of the teachings of Martin Luther King, a great man. Critical race judges every topic by race or racism. Martin Luther King promoted judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. If you believe in Martin Luther King, which I do, you cannot believe in critical race theory because it's like oil and water. Critical race theory is Marxism, socialism. You want an example of socialism? Take Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro took over 20 years ago from a thriving capitalist society in Venezuela. Guess what? Today, after 20 years, as a dictator, you can't buy a roll of toilet paper in Venezuela because they aren't on the shelves. You can't buy the basics. That's socialism. That's Marxism. That's critical race theory, and it doesn't belong anywhere near our schools. The parents, wherever that camera is, you need to get involved and learn what your kids are being taught, because if they're being taught critical race theory, it needs to be abolished now. And I do have another, I'm done, I do have another request here. I'm giving you my notes. And my next request is, where'd it go now? I got it, here it comes. I'd like to know the following. I'm putting in an open records request. I'd like the names of, the positions of, and the number of books each person receives of How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. There's a total of 80 books out there. I'd also like to know the 3 people who received the book by Ibram Kendi stamped Racism, Anti-Racism, and You by Ibram Kendi. Thank you. And I'd like it according to state law by 2 weeks.
Joe Mikulacek.
My name is Joe Mikulacek, 3355 South Russell Court, New Berlin. First, you never answered my questions on any fiscal analysis that may have been done on any alternatives to the Teachers Union WEA Trust Health Insurance Program. That may be hard for you to do because I don't think a serious analysis was ever done. If it was done, provide it to me. Second, and I will say this again for the 3rd time, enrollment is declining. The budget should be reduced. The tax levy should be reduced. I also think it's disingenuous to tell taxpayers that the mill rate will be reduced. Focusing on the mill rate purposely tries to confuse taxpayers. Third, it is evident to me and anyone paying attention to how you operate this entire board and unelected administration educrats is a bunch of teachers union lackeys. I want to repeat that. Teachers union lackeys. At the school board meeting on June 28th, Kirsten Kaiser was dumb enough to state in the meeting she represents the teachers. Again, I need to remind you, especially Ms. Kaiser, you don't represent the teachers. You represent the citizens, taxpayers, and students, not the teachers. And that is a major problem with this board. Fourth, there is now talk of providing free childcare for teachers. As I have stated before in my public comments, that is one of the dumbest ideas I have ever heard in a very long time. Fifth, why is the board policy not to engage the public and answer questions or address public comments at the board meetings? It's high time you got off your high and mighty perch and engage the public at these meetings. It is a slap in the face and insulting to the public you supposedly serve to sit up there like judges and review public comments and may or may not answer public questions or comments in 2 weeks. You usually don't answer. Finally, I did not receive another copy of your disgusting, insulting, anti-First Amendment and pro-CRT letter dated June 25th, 2021. It was signed by the head unelected educrat, Mr. Lexman, and the head Yes Sir School Board President, Noah Lee. I specifically asked the school board on June 28th if they agreed with this letter, sign it, and go on the record. As usual, no response, crickets. I know it's much easier for you to hide behind the unelected head educrat. Show us fine if you agree with this and let the public know where you stand. Again, as always, I will ask any questions for me? Of course not. You're sitting on your high perch, and that's below you to ask questions. Next, I want to submit this insulting letter dated June 25th, 2021 by Mr. Head Educrat Lexman and signed by Noah Lee. I asked before, are you members going to sign it? Crickets.
You have 10 seconds left.
Here's the letter. I want this in the record. Sign it or comment. Show us fine.
Jason Darling.
Hello again, 11037 West McGonigal Drive. I'm wondering if any of you are actually here for the right reasons, because it seems that you're just abusing your given power. Rumor has it from one of the members is that you guys are still planning to enforce the mask mandate in our schools. I'm asking you why. Why can't this be a decision for the people as well as the teachers who it actually directly affects? A survey, maybe an alternative, which would include parents and the teachers, and simply stated, the majority would win. I don't understand why we continue to do that to our youth after hearing what I've heard since my speaking in the last meeting. It doesn't make any sense with the surrounding districts, such as Wauwatosa, New Berlin, Greendale, Brookfield, all openly coming out and saying that masks in schools will be optional, suggested but optional. I wonder why that can't be an option for West Dallas, West Milwaukee. However, though, MPS, though, has stated that they will be putting their mask mandate back in order for the fall school year. And I also then continue to ask then why we continue to follow MPS on anything, on any level. We're better than MPS, everyone's better than MPS. I don't know why we don't strive to do past that and engage what other districts are doing, districts that are better than us. Furthermore, after a summer of no masks, baseball games now at full attendance, 65,000 fans. We all just watched at the Bucks finale, packed in there. Evers and Barrett both without masks, and still to this date, no word on spikes or positive cases, any increase of COVID. And when you do go out, if you guys have not gone out this entire summer, masks are literally few and far between. But we're talking about bringing them back into the school year this year. I had met Jeff on the board last year at a popular establishment in West Dallas, outside in the masses, first week of August, listening to live music in the heart of COVID, prior to any vaccines. Neither of us had a mask on. I had asked him in person about if you guys were leaning then about the virtual or the hybrid or in person. He came back to me with CDC guidelines, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Knowing what I know now today, I know that with you guys following CDC guidelines, it's probably an uphill battle. You guys are still gonna do masks. I simply just do not understand it after the last couple months and all the new information, all the new studies, all the new science. You guys still continue to follow CDC and Fauci. We have the deeper learning online school now. For those that thrived online, this is obviously great for them. This could also be great for people that are uneasy about going back out in public, or parents or kids that don't want to go back to school with not having a mask on. Students showed a majority of them had struggled with the virtual, and on top of that, numerous ones complained about masks. If you guys are trying to increase attendance within the school, I would say follow the districts around us, not MPS, and have them go optional for masks. That way, if you want them, you can have it, but it's not mandated. Same thing goes for all the teachers. Everyone had their chance to get vaccines, to sign up for the online school. As far as office staff, teaching, students, I think it would be a good way to help promote that new school and have that kind of take off. Again, I suggested last time, second opinions. I'm still gonna say that again. National studies, international studies, they're all out there. You're gonna find them that support the mask. You're also gonna find them that support taking the masks off.
You have 10 seconds.
I'm gathering though that we already know, based off of your previous decisions, we're already gonna know what the 9th is gonna bring with you guys, regardless if you guys opt for a survey or not. Thank you.
Steve Broadwell.
I'm here to address the same letter Joe mentioned.
Can you add your
Sorry,
address,
Steve
please?
Broadwell, 12965 West Ohio Court, New Berlin. So I'll start now. I'm here to address same letter Joe mentioned, Mr. Lexman's unfortunate June 25th letter, where he claimed not to be teaching CRT in this district. Let's look at some of the terms used by CRT adherents and which are commonly used by you and your staff. Equity is a big one. Anti-racism anti-racism is another coined by the Marxist Ibram Kendi, who you quoted also in your April 20th letter, and who has really twisted the meaning of this nice-sounding term. He sees racism in everything. Diversity, identity, inclusion, social justice, SEL, action, civics, complete a partial list. There you go on and on. You've even hired an equity director, as have other districts. Equity or equal outcomes, and it is equal outcomes. National Equity Project defines it as equal outcomes, is perhaps the most egregious. I assume you understand that to make everybody equal is a war against our nature that requires treating people unequally. Your mission here at on your website here at West Dallas, West Milwaukee, according to your website, is equity. That's your mission. How about excellence? How about being a good citizen who loves this country? How about preparing for a productive future? But equity is what you've picked. Many activities I viewed on your website support this mission, and it's not good. Your staff is tasked in workshops with reading books like those by Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, another Marxist, which only further proves my point. Kendi wrote, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Mr. Kendi states the only way to be an anti-racist is to be anti-capitalist. And the only solution to past discrimination is present discrimination. White Fragility by Robin DiAngelo is another your staff read, which claims that all white people are invested in and collude with racism. Sounds like indoctrination to me. In your letter, you provide a link to apparently agreeable Wikipedia CRT definition as part of your express support of CRT having a place in our academic and professional discourse. It cites several Marxist individuals supportive of CRT. One of them mentioned is Antonio Gramsci, who was founding member and one-time leader of the Communist Party of Italy. It references other Marxists like Derek Bell, W.E.B. Du Bois. It seems you are suggesting we follow the guidance of Marxists for a better understanding of the merits of CRT. I would direct people to the Heritage Foundation or Dr. James Lindsay for better explanations. Examples it's here are numerous. One Hale teacher on the Panel 61 project explained this project's connection to equity teachings with an action item in which he stated students are empowered to empathize with those who have been treated unfairly due to their identities and strategize how to effectively speak out against discriminatory actions and develop an overall sense of responsibility.
Mr.
to
Broadwell,
fight
you have 10 seconds.
Injustice through collective action. She cited one student's project in which she filled a bulletin board with pictures, banners, and homemade shirts showing her activism over the summer. Do you see it as your duty to create activists and perhaps join Marxist movements like BLM, which is pictured in some of the students' work, and whose founder said she is a trained Marxist and who said she
Mr.
was
Broadwell?
flattered when compared to Mao. I
Your
just have a
time's
little
up.
bit to go. This is very disturbing to many. Your letter had a link to social justice standards you espouse. In that link, it was stated, our social justice standards
Mr.
bolstered
Broadwell.
our celebration of identity and diversity with attention to questions of justice and strategies for student action.
Mr. Broadwell, your time is up. Thank
This
you.
push to create activists is disconcerting. In your April 20th letter, you suggested a link to a resource in the
Thank you, Mr.
Organizational
Broadwell,
Center
for your
Racial
comments.
Justice and Education.
We're going to move on to
Called
the
Cops,
next
titled
person who
Resources
is
for
signed up
Talking About
for
Race,
public
Racism,
comments in
and
person, if there is
Racialized
anyone
Violence.
left.
On this
I'll take this
site-
opportunity to also say if there's anyone who is here via Zoom, if you could please put your comments in the chat, that if you want to speak, then I can see those and allow you to speak.
I don't blame you for
But
wanting to
I'll
shut
go
this
back
down.
over
I don't blame
to
you.
Brian Keller now, so he can see who the next person is to come up and speak.
I'm going to say one last thing. This movement is grounded in Marxism, and our school systems in this country are a leading
Leah
reason that
Zacharias?
So many young people, up to 70% of our young people in some surveys prefer communism over capitalism. They don't learn this at home. They
Thank
learn
you
this in
again.
our
Your time is
schools.
up.
Please don't insult our intelligence by saying CRT is not involved in the school system.
Ms. Zacharias?
Leah Zacharias, 1958 South 93rd Street. I'm here tonight to ask that you remove the mask mandate for the upcoming school year and make masks optional. The school board members were elected to represent the concerns of the citizens, taxpayers, and parents, and to represent the needs of the students. The school board members do not represent the health department or the CDC. A school board member said, "No one is harmed by a mask. Nobody. The science all agrees with it." This statement is false. There is science that shows that masks may cause harm, and I've sent that science to school board members and Dr. Lexman, along with anecdotal events where masks caused harm. Please produce evidence that masking reduces the spread of respiratory viruses, especially masking young children in schools. And also, please provide evidence that it's safe for young children to wear masks for 7 hours a day. Now more than ever, you need to look at the information for yourself and use your own critical thinking skills in order to use the data to make your decisions. Please analyze local data and local statistics to help make your decision. Look at the data in the surrounding school districts that have removed mask mandates. Analyze data from schools or states who removed mask mandates or never instated them. I ask that you read the science, analyze local data, and make masks recommended, not required, starting September 1st.
Thank you. Amanda Houlihan.
Hello, I'm Amanda Houlihan. I live at 1017 South 115th Street in West Dallas. I'm a mom. This is my past first year having a student at Walker Elementary, and my daughter will now be in kindergarten, and my son will be in K4 there. We were really excited when we moved to this district. We heard all about Walker Elementary, that it was a great school, and we were excited when my daughter was actually old enough to go. It was unfortunate that it happened to be last year, and that virtual had to be her first experience. We're hoping that it will be different for our son. It was really hard for my daughter to adjust to school virtually. We were really excited when she was allowed to go in person. She unfortunately was not happy and had emotional issues with school, just the lack of the plexiglass, the wearing masks. It felt very disconnecting for her. So just me, I know my kids are in soccer, I coach with the rec department. When I go, nobody's wearing masks. These kids are on sports teams and birthday parties all summer. I don't see the reason why they have to wear masks and have that as a barrier for them. They are small children. If parents are more comfortable and children are more comfortable with masks, I think it should be optional, but I don't think it should be mandated. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Susan Pavlik.
Do I just say my address? Is that it?
Yeah. Yes, please.
3404 South 119th Street, West Dallas. I'm here to also echo some of these other parents saying that masks should be optional. It should not be mandated. My kids have been in rec sports, swimming, sleepovers, birthday parties, you name it. If 65,000 people can gather to watch a sports game and no one bats an eye, the news doesn't even say anything about COVID at that time. Come on, people, get your act together. Also, Brewers game, full capacity, no masks. But now you wanted to have my kid wear a mask in school? If that happens, I will pull my kids. I will not have my 4K'er come here. You can lose out on that money, and I will send them somewhere else. Stop going off at MPS, like that one guy said. Why are we downgrading? Go after New Berlin, other districts that are so much better than us. My nephews were in New Berlin full time, 5 days a week last school year. We couldn't. My first grader, who's now going into second grade, can't read because of virtual. If you even attempt to do virtual for everybody, that's it. I'm already gonna pull them if you do the masks or the virtual, so, I mean, I just wanna know where you're getting this information. What are you going off of? How come every other district has different information that they're going off of, yet you guys are going off of fear? That's what you're going off of. Everybody's been vaccinated who wants to be vaccinated. 12 and up are vaccinated if they wanna be. Have it be optional. I am the parent, I can determine what's best for the health and wellness of my child, not you. It should be the parent's decision. If you wanna talk about health and wellness, let's talk about the school lunches, we can go there. Otherwise, If slapping a mask on a face is all you care about for their health, I'm sorry, that's not gonna cut it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mark Pavlik.
Mark Pavlik, 3404 South 119th Street, West Dallas. Have 4 children in the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. Previously, 3 went to Wilson. Now 3 go to Hoover. 1 will be going to Lane Kiffin again. As a voter, I'm requesting that you do not force my children to wear masks in the upcoming school year. With that many children in the school district, we have friends that kids go to school with, their parents are intelligent. They already have removed their children from the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District when the open enrollment came in. We were not smart enough to put our kids into the open enrollments and also move them out of the school district. If my children are forced to wear a mask, like my wife said, we'll be pulling all of our 4 children out of the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. I don't know if anyone's ever strived to follow the worst. People usually strive to follow the best. Find whatever school district is the #1 in Wisconsin and strive to be more like them. In my 40 years of life, I've never heard MPS be ranked #1 for anything. If we are going to follow what MPS does, then we're striving to not be the best school district. Again, as a voter, if my children are forced to wear a mask, not only will I be pulling my children out of the school district, trying to find a private school and figuring out a way to pay for that, I will. Also will strive to make sure that when it comes time for re-election, that I will help anyone else to get elected that votes to not wear masks, and will make sure that people that want my children to wear a mask in school do not represent me, and I'll make sure that the voting process does not go in their favor with my efforts. Also, some of the precautions that were taken once the school was opened back up seemed very foolish to me. One of the greatest things to stop spread of any diseases or virus would be to be able to wash your hands. My middle school student tells me in the bathroom they would garbage wrap over the sinks to wash your hands, because then you'd be too close to someone if you were washing your hands. So then that'd leave enough time for everyone to wash their hands when using the bathroom or before it came time to eat their food for lunch. So I find it very interesting, gotta wear a mask, but hey, don't wash your hands before you eat your lunch. Also, another example would be gym class. Can't play with a basketball because one person can't touch the basketball and then pass it to the next person because we'd be spreading these germs and the COVID.
You have 10 seconds left.
And then when class is over, everyone had to pass a spray bottle hand to hand to use the spray bottle. Apparently, germs don't exist on a spray bottle hand to hand, but they exist on a basketball. So if we're going to take precautions, let's make sure they make logical sense. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that's all we have in person. Noah, I'm not sure if we have anybody on Zoom.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear me. So in chat right now, I only have one, and that would be Michael May.
Excellent, and thank you again, honorable school board members, for allowing me to speak as well as the others. You guys run good meetings, and I greatly appreciate it. First, I just want to remind everyone again that this whole—
Mr. May, quickly, could you give us your address?
Oh, sure, 837 South 113. So we want to remind everyone that this anti-CRT thing is nothing more than a boogeyman of fringe groups. It's basically the Sharia law is all over place type of mentality. It isn't a thing, so it's much to do about nothing. But regarding masks, I just want to remind everyone that just because other school districts are jumping off cliffs, we don't have to join them. This needs to be a community health question. Wearing a mask protects others more than it protects you. So your choice greatly impacts others.
Looks like Zoom has froze. Okay, we'll just give it a second while we get Zoom restarted.
Oh, you
Yeah, we
can?
can hear
Okay.
you now. Sorry for
Okay.
that interruption.
All right, so can he just start again then?
Yeah, we'll restart that since it was
All
interrupted.
right, Mr. May, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, I'll go relatively quick here. First of all, I've been watching, and again, this anti-CRT thing, I think it's much ado about nothing. It's a boogeyman of certain fringe groups. It's like the anti-Sharia law thing, people coming out complaining that Sharia law is being taught in schools, and it's just not there. We've got a lot of people with too much time reading Facebook and internet conspiracy sites and not enough time reading what the actual equity beliefs of our district are or understanding what CRT is. As General Mark Milley said, there's no harm in reading things about these different things because it helps inform and create better educators and helps you understand what the issues are. It doesn't mean that your school district is racist or something. It's just it's crazy to me. On the topic of masks, if all the other districts jump off a bridge, I don't think we need to jump off with them. We need to be making this a question of community health. Wearing a mask protects others more than it protects you. So your choice, as parents are some parents are asking for, I actually believe the majority of people are fine with masks. Your choice impacts others. So it needs to be the school district making the decision on that for the overall community health. I really think parents on this topic are the biggest whiners. When I watch kids, you tell them, hey, we're going to a sporting event, or hey, it's time to go to school. They put on the masks well before they're even in the building. I don't think they really have a problem as much as the parents do on this, which just makes me laugh because the parents aren't the ones sitting in the school buildings. At this time, the CDC and the American Association of Pediatrics, they recommend masks be worn in the fall if you are not vaccinated. So that'd be anyone 12 and under currently, and anyone else who may not be vaccinated above 12. So I just encourage the district to continue following the recommendations of the scientists, the doctors, the nurses, and continue requiring masks. So thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you at the next school board meeting.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. May. I'm going to check one more time in chat if there's any other people who wanted to provide a comment via Zoom. If you could please put your name in the Zoom chat right now, and I give you that opportunity. Just gonna wait for 1 minute just to make sure there's nobody else. And I do not see anyone else signing up in chat. And so as long as there's no one else that is in person that signed up late, I would go ahead and close public comments and move on to item number 7, which is the superintendent's report. Dr. Lexman?
Great. Thank you and good evening, everyone, and thanks for being here. We'll start with 7.1, which is our legislative update. I have to jump over to the agenda. So a couple things to point out that are taking place at the state level. So Governor Evers is calling the legislature into special session, and this was just announced today, in fact. He's calling it Do What's Best for Kids. The governor announced a special session planned to put more than $400 million into K-12 and more than $100 million into higher education. So today, Governor Evers announced that he signed Executive Order 127, calling a special session of the legislature starting tomorrow, July 27th at 9:01 a.m. to do what's best for kids in our schools. And this is beyond the $100 million he announced a couple of weeks ago. At the time of the budget signing, Governor Evers vetoed moving $550 million into the budget stabilization fund. So he's outlined his proposal, which includes $440 million for K-12 schools. So that's increasing per pupil aid and special education aid. And then for higher education for the University of Wisconsin system and the technical college system. Governor Evers recently also announced the way he's recommending that the $100 million would be distributed and comments from his administration suggest that it should be in additional federal funds for K-12 education that he announced last week, and it would be distributed on a per pupil basis. And then the Legislative Fiscal Bureau, or LFB, the analysis of governor's high cost transportation partial aid veto. And this gets a little bit complex. They produced a memo detailing the impact of the high cost transportation aid program modification. And Governor Evers used a veto to delete the eligibility criterion, limiting eligibility to districts with a membership of less than 3,500 pupils, and restore the prior law eligibility criterion under which a district would not qualify for aid if its pupil population density was greater than 50 pupils per square mile. So based on this, the change would have resulted in 2 districts with a membership of greater than 3,500 pupils gaining eligibility, so that's Kettle Moraine and Hortonville, and 4 districts losing eligibility as a result of the restoration of the population density criterion. So that's Mapledale, Indian Hill, Glendale, River Hills, Fox Point, J2, and Nicolay. The memo shows the distribution of aid in 2021 under current law, as well as estimates of the aid distribution under the bill passed by the legislature under 2021 Act 58. And then GOP legislation proposes a massive overhaul of reading readiness program, including numerous strict mandates on school boards. Citing Wisconsin's failing ranks in reading proficiency compared to other states, a number of state legislative Republicans have proposed a massive overhaul of the reading readiness program, including a list of new state mandates relating to screening assessments, interventions, parental notifications, and reporting requirements. And we're going to monitor that closely. We'll see if that gets traction and what the impact might be for us. Then going on to 7.2, which is our district recognitions. There's just a couple, as you know, we're in the end of July when things are a little bit quieter. So in leadership and learning, we want to thank Adam Hengel for his work to help us launch the West Dallas, West Milwaukee Deeper Learning Virtual Academy. Adam has been talking to families about enrollment options, working through our grant requirements, hiring a staff, and getting all the needed operational items done to open school in just a few weeks. And from recreation, July is Park and Recreation Month across the nation, and Mayor Dan Devine has proclaimed July as Park and Recreation Month in the city of West Dallas. July 16th was National Park and Recreation Professionals Day. So we'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the hundreds of employees that work in our Recreation and Community Services Department. Their talents and skills, passion, and commitment to serve the community is what makes our program successful. And then 7.3 is just a little bit of updates, information items from the superintendent. So first, usually start these with some of the follow-up or response to public comments, and these are from our July 12, 2021 meeting. So we had a member of the public indicate that the president of the American Federation of Teachers, also known as the AFT, lied about CRT. And that's fine, but we don't speak for the AFT, and offering any response would be inappropriate. This member also noted that we should update salary information for central office administrators. We do report all required position and salary information to the Department of Public Instruction when required. They and other public outlets publish this information on a timeline that they determine. So this information is typically a year old when published, and that's not something we control. Finally, this member requested copies of central office administrator job descriptions. We're treating this as an open records request, and we'll respond when we have the responsive records. But I want to remind everybody in the board that it is not in state statute that records requests have to be responded to within 2 weeks. It's a customary practice, it's an effort, but the actual statutory language is as soon as practicable and without delay, right? And so that's the standard that we're held to. At our last meeting, 2 members of the public commented against wearing masks in schools, and another member of the public supported wearing masks. That's not on our agenda this evening. Our board is going to take that up at its regular meeting on August 9th. But I think it should be noted that the increase in cases of COVID across the nation and in Wisconsin, and the concerns over new variants of the disease, will be taken into consideration in discussion the board has about mask wearing in schools on August 9th. And then finally, again, given that it's July, tends to be a little bit quieter, so there's really not any updates here. But what I do want to share with the board, for the first time in several years, I'm completing the entire evaluation and feedback process for all of our leaders from last school year. And that's quite a task to keep up with, but it's really ensuring we provide feedback for growth and document any performance concerns. And that has been a goal and expectation of our school board in recent years. And so Deidre and I intend to make this a priority in the coming year, just really supporting our leaders in really giving good feedback and documenting any concerns. So in keeping with these expectations, we're working to model this for leadership. And then as we start to really cast forward, we're going to begin this new school year with our leadership kickoff, and that really kind of starts it for all of leadership, and that takes place on August 9th. And Deidre and her team are planning an engaging, interactive set of experience through which our leaders will better understand our mission of equity through deeper learning. So we're going to take them into some really interesting activities. We're really working to host our kickoff at our new rec center. It's a space where we believe many of our principals and other leaders have not visited yet. And we thought using this new space would be an interesting opportunity for us. And we're still working with Shelley and Rec to see if we can make that happen. So with that, I'll conclude the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Lexman. I'm going to move on to the board president's report once I move back over to the agenda. So the first thing is going over the board calendar, item 8.1. So today, on Monday, July 26th at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting, immediately followed by a closed session meeting. On Monday, August 2nd at 6 p.m., we have a board workshop meeting, our second board workshop meeting on the facility planning workshop. On Monday, August 9th at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. On Monday, August 16th at 6 p.m., we have, I believe, our final board workshop on the FACT, Facility Planning Committee. And then on Monday, August 23rd, we have, at 6 p.m., we have a regular Board of Education meeting. So now I'll move on to item 8.2, which is board committee reports. I'll start off with 8.2.1, which is our college and career readiness report, which I presume Ms. Raymer will be doing for us.
Yes, and good evening, everyone. So at our last committee meeting, we went through the goals and the strategies in our building block within the strategic plan and talked about the workshops that we wanted to plan for the school year. And we are excited to go back to some more interactive workshops. Thank you. Interactive workshops where the board gets the chance to engage with our staff in sort of that more round robin. So a couple of the ones that our committee would like to see come forward for the year are ones on our guaranteed and viable curriculum, ones on our co-curriculars, ones on CTE and some of our extracurricular our additional curricular offerings in that area, as well as one from our student services and special ed staff, similar to the ones that we've had in years past. So we spent some time just talking about which ones we wanted to have in the course of the next school year, and then our next steps are that I will work with Suzette to get those scheduled on our board calendar. And that's it for us.
Not sure if Noah can hear it. Are you there, Noah? Okay, in the meantime, we'll move on to the financial stability and efficiency. Ms. Justin?
We met last week, and the Finance Committee reviewed and discussed policies that will be coming forward for review in the near future. We also briefly discussed retirement and benefits, and then, of course, the state approved the biannual budget with a per pupil for the 21-23 bicentennial, but then we all saw that there was an update today, so we'll be talking about that again next month, because now things have changed again. That's all.
All right, I will continue moving things forward then. Next is 8.3, board member reports of community events. Do we have any reports? No, still, okay. All right, then we will move to our consent agenda. We have item 9.1, the approval of minutes, 9.2, the employment summary, 9.3, supplementary contracts, and 9.4, the financial summary. Does any board members need any of those separated? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that completes that. With that.
Brian, can we step in just for one
sure,
second? I
sure
believe
can.
Marty has some introductions he'd like to do.
A little bit of technical difficulty this evening, but thank you to the board. You just approved 2 people in leadership positions. And so I'd first like to introduce Dr. Antoine Reed, who's going to become the new principal at Central High School, and give Dr. Reed a few minutes to introduce himself and to share a little bit about why he's excited to be joining the team at Central.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lexman. I want to thank the Honorable School Board for allowing me a chance to speak. First of all, I've had a chance to work in many positions throughout education. None is going to be as fun as being a bulldog. I started off as a special education teacher, a football coach, a track coach. I moved on to becoming a dean. Then I became an assistant principal. I worked as a principal in the inner city of Chicago. During that journey, I got the opportunity to meet Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, about some of the things that took place in our inner cities. I've had an opportunity to work with Anthony Davis at Perspective Charter. I've had an opportunity to work at some of the top schools in Chicago. But like I said, I really enjoy the opportunity to work for our high school in our district. We really believe in the belief that every student must have an opportunity to grow and be a champion. So the belief in student achievement and our mission that students should grow and be holistic to college and beyond is why I wanted to join the staff. And I love being a bulldog. I was a bulldog in elementary school, so I look forward to being a bulldog again. Thank you so much, Dr. Lexman, for the opportunity to serve our community, our school board, our parents, and our families. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Welcome.
Yep, and welcome aboard.
Welcome.
And, yep, and now I'd like to introduce Devin Smith. Devin Smith is our new assistant principal for our Deeper Learning Virtual Charter School, which is an exciting new adventure. So Devin, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Devin. So I have a background in science and I really love technology. So I'm really excited to be part of a school that's going to be so innovative and kind of future forward looking. I have 2 master's degrees, including my educational leadership degree. I'm just made it through my first year of my PhD. So hopefully in the next 2 years, that's going to be coming around. And I'm just really grateful for this opportunity, really excited to work in leadership for the school district. And I'm looking forward to having a really, really amazing school year. Thank you.
Welcome.
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 Thank you. Thanks, Devin. Welcome.
Okay, so because we did the consent agenda, that is going to end the open part of our meeting here. So we will take a quick 5-minute recess while we switch things over to go into closed session.